Ear boomers! Silence is a transformational and a spiritual practice that is especially important to apply to this election season because it's easy to become frustrated with people who are misinformed, and and then you can just lash out and just become like they are. So here are 5 crucial situations in which silence is to be nurtured in our daily life. Number 1, we can talk about silence in the face of anger. Anger is a way that when we become angry, we know that we have become um, aversion, attraction. What are we attracted to that's making us angry? What kind of aversion do we have that's making us angry? Anger is a perfect opportunity to back off and think about what it is within yourself that is making you react that way. These knee-jerk reactions are detrimental to our spiritual growth. So anger can be a red flag that you suddenly realize that you could go off the hook and hurt somebody and hurt yourself. It's not just somebody else you're hurting yourself because you've taken some giant steps backwards in your evolution, spiritual evolution. Um, the calmness that you feel after you've been angry, after you note your anger, the peace of mind is something that, and the calmness is something that we strive for in the face of anger. We need to, we have reasons. The outer world, the world of the outer world, says we have every reason in the world to be angry. They've taken away they plan to take away all of our rights if Donald Trump is elected. This is not hyperbole. It's the truth. And I don't think he's going to win because he's so absolutely insane. And so is Elon Musk. Oh my gosh. But, that's a judgment. But I believe that these people should be called. You can't just act as if these people are not speaking the truth, because they're not. So when people are gossiping and slandering another person, that is a perfect opportunity to remain silent. Do not indulge them. Do not indulge the situation. Be alert to anybody who's gossiping in a negative way about anybody at all, or slandering them. Slander is a perfect tool of people running for office, especially the Republicans and especially Donald Trump. He's just so crazed with slandering Kamala. And none of this is true. And she is not slandering him. She's telling the truth about him. And we can talk about when conflict arises, to just remain silent and peaceful. Do not get involved in it. Do not be sucked into it. Conflict is an opportunity to pause for reflection and mindful response. Be very, very in tune with your inner responses, your aversions and attractions, and use those opportunities as a way to become a better human being. And that's what silence can help us to be. When people start to argue, when they start to gaslight you, just remain silent and show restraint. Restraint is very important, and possibly followed by a resolution or a mutual understanding. When you witness suffering, that's a perfect example of or opportunity to be very silent, maybe hold somebody's hand, and to say cliches that people tend to say doesn't help anybody. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss, or what's worse is to say, oh, they've gone to heaven, They're happier now. They're no longer in pain. Do not say that. We don't know what's going on. But not only that, it's whitewashing the situation. Silence in conflict, silence in um, the death scenarios that we will be facing more and more as we get older. People are dying in our lives more and more. In fact, I'll be going to a funeral tomorrow, and I will just remain silent because I know that his wife is suffering, but I also know that her dog is Pearl's best friend, and I would like to get together with that dog. Oh my gosh, little Skeeter, Skeeter. I'm so sad that Tom, her husband, has passed on. Um, he was a good friend, but I also take comfort in the fact that I know my husband and him are having much more fun than they ever had in this lifetime. So suffering is something that you can't avoid, and that's the first law of Buddhism is that suffering exists, and the way to relinquish suffering is to let go of attraction and aversions to everything. And then when we have our own suffering, when something happens to us, if we lose a significant other, best friend or pet, sibling, family member, whenever we lose anything, the best thing to do is to go inward and be silent. And if you have to go into a room without any kind of get away from technology, go into a room without any technology or blue lights and sit in silence and feel the pain. And it might take several days to work it through. It might take weeks. There's no time limit in trying to get through this. And in fact, when my husband passed away from COVID, the world shut down and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. So I did exactly what that recommendation is: silence. I rested in silence. And I had Pearl, who was grieving too. She knew what was going on, and I felt sorry for her. So we just hung out together, and we lived our lives together, the canine and the human and the canine relationship. There's nothing like that, nothing like that. And in fact, silence is as important as the air that we breathe. And in these silent moments, we can use our breath to heal. In fact, the healing process might be hastened by our breathing through the heart, breathing through the brain and the heart coming into coherence is one of the most important things we can do in our grieving of anything that we tend to be grieving. I was reflecting this morning about how wonderful it is to live in a place like Pennsylvania where we have the 4 seasons. So right now we're heading into fall. I noticed as I looked out my window this morning at the very great big beautiful maple tree across the way is starting to turn a little red at the tips of the leaves. So it's happening, and it will happen. So we come into the fall, and then we come into the shortest days of the year, long nights and short days on the 21st of December. And we celebrate the holidays at that time, which seems to distract people from feeling saddened by the death of summer and autumn. And then we live through winter. We live through the bad weather. And this will be the first winter, not necessarily, but the first winter I will totally appreciate not having to go to a job and punch a time clock in the middle of a snowstorm. Yes, that is a beautiful thought. So we get into winter, the leaves, no leaves on the trees, and snow hopefully, and walking in the snow with the dogs. There's nothing more beautiful than being able to ride out winter in a state of of acceptance and silence, because winter is a silent time of year. Very, especially if there's a snowstorm, the silence involved in that beautiful snowstorm, especially if it goes on for a few days and we have several feet of snow, that is the most silent thing of all. Lovely. And then we head into springtime, which is such a rebirth, such a wonderful feeling of total acceptance of everything that there is. It's such a rising of the energy levels from the earth, and anything that rises from the earth rises within our souls. So silence is a beautiful thing. We can. Why don't you tell me what you think? How silence plays a role in your life, and how you handle it. How do you handle being alone? How do you handle when people are in your life? Do you have bouts of anger, blame, grievance? Wipe that out of your life and come to the other side, where we are celebrating each moment of every day. There should be a film that comes up right there, and take a look and subscribe. Bye.